Coming up next on Middle Tennessee News, an overview of MTSU's budget.
And Vanderbilt Life teams up with Stewart's Creek to stop distracted driving.
Plus, Murfreesboro is going bald.
All those stories, plus your latest weather. Middle Tennessee News starts right now. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Kristen Allen.
And I'm Eric Woolworth. Welcome to Middle Tennessee News.
Last week, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee gave his proposal for the upcoming state budget. J.R. Smith reports on how Governor Lee's plans could have a big effect on MTSU and its budget.
Tennessee State University, a campus that has over 21,000 students, over 2,000 full-time employees, and now they have one new proposed budget that could affect both of those numbers. Most important in the proposed budget, a salary raise. There's a chance it could go up 2%.
I kind of think that when you've got someone who's being efficient, you really ought to reward them. And so if the state budget can reward us for that efficiency, imagine how much more we could do.
Even students might also love the proposed budget, especially the ones in pre-med. Why? Well, not too long ago, MTSU formed a relationship with Meharry Medical College in Nashville, and this money could allow for new discoveries for upcoming students, as Basic and Applied Science Dean Bud Fisher told us.
When you look at Tennessee as a whole related to healthcare, it's nowhere near the top, and I think the commitment by the state and by these two institutions to facilitate healthcare, especially in rural areas, is incredibly important.
There's also money in the budget for safety. So what would that money go to? Well, some students and parents think it should go to help call boxes like the one you see behind me. But right now there's just a couple on campus. They want many, many, many more.
If there's a need for it, I think it's a good idea. I would wonder what the best way for the money to be allocated would be based on like actual research on what helps with safety on campuses or in public spaces.
No need to worry, Cora. The budget specifically outlines that too, at least in part. MTSU hopes to get exactly $213,900 to help prevent future vehicle thefts and hit and runs, both of which occurred in the latest MTSU crime log, which is why some people think that those help call boxes would be a nice use of the budget. But overall, professors say the goal of this tight budget is to just try and benefit those 21,000 plus students that attend here.
At the end of the day, the main question is this going to be good for students? And if the answer is yes, then we kind of have to find a way to pay for it somehow.
Well, right now, the biggest capital program for students is a new building.
There's nothing better than getting something new, but at what cost? A project worth millions of dollars is in the process of being built right here on MTSU's campus, and it's ranked number one or one of the top programs in the world.
There's been a concrete industry management program. More than 400 students have enrolled. This also means that since this program started in 1996, the number of graduates has been over 1,000. Students interested in this field can look into MTSU's School of Concrete and Construction Management. It makes you wonder what exactly makes this program so successful. Let's take a look inside one of the buildings where students are taught. Inside the building you'll find awards, pictures of students who have worked on previous projects, as well as different types of samples and materials used in the field. What you might not know is the building is small and is shared with other engineering students. I asked students in the School of Concrete and Construction Management if the new building was really needed. Here's what they said.
I think we need a lot more room.
I feel like we do. It's definitely needed. It's our turn to get a new building.
Autumn Gates managed to get some information about the new building, but it still seems like not everything is clear, and some questions will have to remain unanswered until a later date.
I'm not sure how much money is going to go in it. I did watch the live feed of the board meeting that they said that it's actually going to be funded and they're going to start getting into it in the next year, and it'll be done in about 2 years, is what my understanding is.
Joshua and Nija are able to recognize some flaws, but they don't expect everything to be new. Just some equipment that's able to process the new software programs in the real world.
So I'm hoping that maybe we have, as well as a building, an influx of maybe not brand new, but like relatively new hardware that could run the software.
I hope to have 3 well-equipped labs so that we can get that hands-on learning and that hands-on training in our early semesters and those freshman and those sophomore semesters rather than later in our senior capstones and different things of the nature. So hopefully we'll have lots and lots of labs, still the computer labs, and maybe even just more software opportunities like the Revit or the Trackit and different things like that that we use in the industry.
The total project cost is said to be $40 million. There will be $34 million in in-state funding, but it's up to MTSU to raise the other $6 million. While the $6 million won't come from tuition, Eric Woodworth reports on how tuition still might increase in the new budget.
The proposed budget for MTSU allows for the tuition to be increased up to 2.5%. While this only means about $200 for in-state students and about $600 for out-of-state students, that could be enough to break the bank.
I think that it will be a burden, definitely, because I'm broke, my family's broke, we all broke. I probably wouldn't come to school, to be honest with you. Yeah, I couldn't do that.
From 1985 to 2015, tuition was raised over 830%. And since 2015, fees have been raised over $73. And tuition has been raised over the past 5 semesters by at least $200, depending on what type of classes you take. But some students haven't paid much mind to the increase.
So over the last few semesters, I haven't really noticed an increase. I mean, like, it might be a few dollars here or there, it seems like, when I go online, but it pretty much looks the same to me every time.
With the current rate of inflation hovering around 2% and some of the budget being cut, MTSU could turn to tuition to help pick up the slack.
If the state's budget is cut, if the state funding is cut, then we have to find alternative sources of revenue. One of those is tuition.
For Professor Brendan Martin, who attended MTSU in the late 80s, paid 800% less than students are paying now.
But beyond that, you know, I worked a part-time job, and I walked away completely debt-free.
While MTSU will be operating on a very tight budget, President Sidney McPhee hopes to not see tuition increase. For Middleton, the final tuition amount will be set in early May by the Higher Education Council.
Stewart's Creek High School and Vanderbilt Life Flight partnered up to stop distracted driving yesterday. High school seniors watched as a mock crash took place on the Red Hawk football field. Seniors at Stewart's Creek got the chance to watch the aftermath of a distracted driving crash, where the driver was said to be texting. Now, we do want to remind you that the images on screen right now are not part of a real crash and are just a simulation. The simulation was fully equipped with a Life Flight helicopter from Vanderbilt, ambulances, and the Rutherford County Police Department. This project was in coordination with the school's Be in the Zone campaign, and they want to make sure students know what the distracted driving can lead to.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is working alongside Jefferson County Sheriff's Office to identify a body. On March 10th, the 14th District Attorney General James Dunn sent a request for TBI to join in the search. The TBI has yet to release a race, approximate age, height. However, the image of the unknown's clothing has been posted online for viewing.
Well, Middle Tennessee State University President Dr. Sidney McPhee recently announced the university as a home for first-generation college students. President McPhee said 50% of MTSU's student population received the Pell Grant aid, which is provided for families who make $50,000 or less per year. McPhee also reports MTSU has one of the most inexpensive undergraduate fees at about $9,000.
Kristen, I'm starting to experience that same problem back in the fall. It's a way different temperature in the morning than it is now. It's kind of hard to dress.
Yes. Chairlyn, I need to know how to dress. What do we got to look forward to?
Hey, you know what, Kristen and Eric, sorry. I've been having trouble with that all week. When I leave the house in the morning, it's super cold, but then as the day goes on, it's pretty warm. But today is the first day of spring, so I would say that spring is really leading up to its expectations with a high of 63 degrees, humidity levels at 22%, with wind at 10 miles per hour, and it's fairly sunny outside. If you walk outside, you would see that it's a gorgeous day, not very many clouds in the sky. But for tonight, we might be expecting something a little bit different. You will see slight chance of showers with a low of 42 degrees. Humidity level still will be at 22% and wind at 5 miles per hour. So it won't be too cold, perfect weather. And I would say that we could take a look at the rest of the weather for the rest of the week a little later. So tossing it right back to the desk.
Still ahead on Middle Tennessee News, see what construction projects on MTSU's campus is nearly done.
And the great reason why so many people are shaving their heads. That's coming up next, so stay with us.
Sculpting the perfect body takes time. Quitting smoking does too. But with a little help, you can do it. Get the resources and support you need to quit smoking from the American Cancer Society at cancer.org/smokeout.
Hannah is bright, talented, and she's been so brave. Hannah complained of a headache. It was a rhabdomyosarcoma. Within a few days, Hannah was in treatment because we were told that the tumor was very aggressive. So we've essentially put our lives in South Africa on hold. Incredibly blessed to be here. St. Jude is an asset to the world. The research that is developed here is offered freely to the rest of the medical world. The entire way that the place operates is just to give and to care. I think it's the kind of place that not only stands as a beacon for pediatric cancer, but I think it could teach the world a couple of lessons about how to treat people. And I think if those lessons could be learned, even in their most basic form, this world could be a better place.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple, bread.
I remember watching Dad with the kids and thinking, geez, in 6 years, will he even know who they are?
Ask me again.
1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at brightfocus.org.
What does it look like when a life is truly changed?
I feel a sense of accomplishment because I built a house. This house has brought us financial independence.
Every family dreams to have their own house. This house changed our lives.
Habitat for Humanity is at work in your community and around the world. Through shelter, we empower.
Students are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. No, I'm not talking about graduation, but actually the completion of the Middle Tennessee Boulevard Street. We reported on student experiences over the past 3 years and how the road's completion is a welcome sight.
Back in 2016, the Middle Tennessee Boulevard construction team had a few simple goals in mind.
Our goal is to do it as fast and efficient and as safely as possible.
But unfortunately, that hasn't been entirely true.
I was driving down Greenland Drive and I ended up turning left onto Middle Tennessee Boulevard. Little did I know that the car in front of me confused the cones and ended up taking us down the wrong lane, which was obviously a big shock when we realized that we were driving down a construction zone.
Because since it had cones in the middle of the road, you could only see the cars from like 3 yards away before making the turn.
While the road will have many new upgrades such as landscaped medians, plaza corners, and new utility lights, some students are just happy to see many of those orange barrels gone.
So now those are finally gone. You can actually see the road and not crash and die or have the chance to crash and die on there.
While construction began in 2016, this project will not be finished until later in May this year. So this project still has a few more steps to go.
They still need to do some landscaping on the medians and one final paving of the road, but people are already seeing the improvements.
It's getting a lot more cleared up, especially on the back roads, not as many cones, and since they're finally making the final touches, it's looking a lot better.
Middle Tennessee Boulevard should be completed just after the graduation ceremonies. For Middle Tennessee News, I'm Eric Woolworth.
Construction was originally scheduled to finish in fall of 2018, but has had multiple setbacks before finally having a date for this May.
Now, many Rutherford County residents gathered over the weekend to be heroes for kids with cancer, with one goal in mind: to brave the shave. The St. Baldrick's Foundation is a volunteer-powered charity that raises awareness for money in childhood cancer. The event was held at the Lanes, Trains, and Automobiles Depot on Friday, where hundreds gathered to give hope to infants, children, and young adults everywhere battling cancer. With just under $50,000 raised, the St. Baldrick's Foundation is just under their goal to try and conquer childhood cancer.
Placed in Murfreesboro, Tennessee by the St. Baldrick's Foundation. And St. Baldrick's is a foundation that funds childhood cancer research all over the country and even outside the United States.
The St. Baldrick's Foundation is coming up on its 10th year of raising money for cancer research. They just recently hit $450,000 raised. If you want to get involved, visit stbaldricks.org.
From sinkholes to flooding, the state of Tennessee is feeling the effects of the recent historic rainfall. The rain's also been affecting the housing market here in Middle Tennessee. Studio M reporter Joseph Choi Polk met with a real estate agent to explain how flooding and real estate correlate.
Flooding, like we've recently experienced, disrupts our lives in so many ways. It lengthens our commutes, damages our property, and it may even affect the housing market here in Middle Tennessee. We spoke with veteran real estate agent Jonathan Harmon, who says a small line on a map can have a major effect on pricing and affordability.
You get a house that was not in a flood zone before and now it's labeled with a flood zone. It does stigmatize the property. It drives the value of that specific property down because from that point until infinity, until they redraw that map, a lender's going to require that somebody carry flood insurance on that property. Flood insurance can range anywhere from a couple $100 a year to up to about $3,000 a year, and that's substantial.
Flood zones are determined by FEMA based on past events like the 2010 flood. But according to Harmon, that may not always be reliable, and our boom in real estate development may be to blame.
Any time that you have a lot of development in an area, and then you have a flood type event, you're gonna see new things happen because you're pushing dirt around, right? And when you push the dirt around over here and it floods in this whole area, then the dirt that you moved over here affects over here. Which way does it flow? Where does it collect, right? And so as long as we keep seeing development, that's a pardon the pun, but that's a fluid thing as far as what's gonna flood.
For Studio M, I'm Joseph Choi.
Still ahead on Middle Tennessee News, Chairlyn Mella tells if the first day of spring is actually living up to its name.
Yes, it is. And when we get back, we'll also look at the 5-day forecast. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Turn off your lights for Earth Hour. For our forests, our rivers, our oceans, our wildlife, and for our climate. For our Earth. Earth Hour, March 30th, 2019.
Your zip code. Just one number different, and you might have a whole other life. Different school, different job, different dreams, different problems. In America, the zip code you're born in can determine your future. The Y works to change that, with programs and services that help everyone thrive, no matter who you are or where you're from. For a better us, support your local Y today.
Breast cancer kills more than 41,000 people each year in the U.S. alone. That's unacceptable. That's why by 2026, Susan G. Komen will cut the number of breast cancer deaths in half. We'll get there by helping those who can't pay for treatments, by funding breakthroughs in research that save lives, by ensuring that all people receive the care they need. We'll get there, but only with your help. So, are you in?
My mother used to say a long time ago, whenever there would be any catastrophe that was on the air, she would say, always look for the helpers. Because if you look for the helpers, you'll know that there's hope.
You know, Eric, Carolyn told us earlier it was the first day of spring. I think I'm going to celebrate by getting a nice ice cream, maybe finding a porch swing somewhere. What are you doing today?
Unfortunately, I have classes after this, but trust me, I'll definitely be spending it outside. Carolyn Mellett joins us to tell us if today is going to be that great of a day.
You know what? I think spring is living to its expectation just a little bit. It feels a little bit like fall outside, if you ask me, just because of the wind. But I will say the rest of the week, we do have some pretty great temperatures. If we would take a look now at the 5-day forecast, today we have a high of 64, low of 42. And then as we take a look into Thursday, it is going to be partly sunny. We might experience some showers, just depending. It's really a 20% chance of rain, so we may not see too much rain, with a high of 58, low of 36. Then Friday, we will see a high of 62, low of 32. And then Saturday will also be sunny with a high of 60, low of 38. So I think we'll see some pretty great temperatures those days. But then going into Sunday, it is going to be raining outside. So make sure you have your umbrella and your raincoat, because it's going to be a high of 67, but low of 52. So I'm pretty sure you will see some rain on Sunday. And that's kind of a look at our 5-day forecast. But for the next few days, you do see some pretty great temperatures. And I think spring is living up to its name just a little bit. Now tossing it right back to the desk.
Thanks, Carolyn. Well, got milk? We hope so, because Crumble Cookies Bakery is coming to Murfreesboro. The Rutherford County Bakery will be the chain's first Southeast location. It delivers fresh baked warm cookies right to your door. They started out with just one flavor, chocolate chip, but now they announced 4 new flavors. Each week, Crumbles plans to open mid-April. Well, that's all we have for you today here at Middle Tennessee News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kristen Allen.
And I'm Eric Worth. If you missed this or any of our other shows, you can watch them on our website at middletennesseenews.net. We'll see you tomorrow.